Hey, welcome back to Apple Seeds with Jim Fessler. Um, Apple Seeds, where we bring thoughts, ideas, and discussions that you can gather and plant and grow and hopefully build into some financial abundance for yourself and for your business. Tonight, I'm interviewing Jarod Reatherford. He's a sub-2 student in Pace Morby's mentorship program, and he's given me the honor to come on and give me a little bit of information about how he's growing his real estate investment journey. And with that, I'd like to bring Jarod up on stage here and say hello. Good morning, or good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. It's been a long day already.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here, Jarod. I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little insight with me.
Yeah, definitely excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Right on. So the little bit I know, I mean, we're just kind of meeting each other, and it's kind of the first time we've really had a chance to talk too much. But I understand you're in Pace's sub-2 community, and that you have kind of a bit of an extensive real estate background in a little varying areas. First off, I'd like to maybe get an idea of who Jarod is outside of the real estate realm. Where do you live at? What do you do that brought you into the real estate thing? Did you get that growing up from something while you were, going through high school or going through college that interested you in it? Or how did you kind of come to this realm from wherever you came from?
Okay. So obviously my name is Jarod Reatherford. I live in Peoria, Illinois, just in the Midwest, little city. I think it's like 200,000 people. But I guess before I got started in real estate, I worked all kinds of different jobs, but I was at Ameren, which is a utility company. I was a lineman there. There I learned so much about just life. I felt like it was a very good job, made really good money, but it wasn't the best work environment and hours and stuff. So I kind of realized money isn't everything at that job. But I had something happen. I had an injury, which caused me to lose that job. I ended up having back surgery and all this stuff. And when that happened, I know nobody in real estate at this point. So when I got hurt, I realized that if I had some passive income coming in, things would be a lot easier because I had just bought a house and that I was living in, and I went from making a lot of money to almost no money, and I was barely going to make it. So that kind of kickstarted things where I was like, you know what, I need to get the ball rolling. So I basically got started buying mobile homes. So I bought 2 mobile homes in my first deal. I bought them for $1,500 a piece, and then turned around and sold those 6 months later, which is a whole nother story. But I almost went broke on the first 2. But sold those 6 months later to start making some extra money, and then turned those 2 into, I have 12 now. I've done more than that, but I've sold some, done lease options on the others. And then really fell in love with that, and then turned my house that I had purchased into an Airbnb. And then basically once the whole job came to an end, I had enough money from the mobile home investing and the Airbnb to live off of. And then from there, I was going to a real estate meetup and met the guys that run that here in Peoria. And they offered me an opportunity to become like a property manager is what initially it was kind of sold to me as, but I ended up being like the maintenance supervisor for about 430 some units. So we're always growing, learning a lot about management and how to keep tenants happy and stuff like that. So good experience, very thankful for that, and just continuing to try to grow from here. So looking to get more units and everything myself. So
Right on.
kind of
So,
high over what I do.
So you said something. You mentioned you were initially that you were a lineman, like high tension power line stuff.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I have 2 nephews that do that.
Oh, you do. So you know a
Yeah,
lot about.
my one nephew they were both trained in it. My brother-in-law, actually, the way they got to that was my brother-in-law actually sells to he's a sales rep for a company that sells those cables, to the power companies and stuff. And yeah, there's some that I have, and there's some extended family on my wife's side that one of them flies the helicopters for the guys that hang.
Oh man, that's what I wanted to
do. And his brother was one of the guys that they both had some pretty bad situations happen to them. But anyways, that was just kind of interesting to hear you say, because it's just some family background on my side. I don't really know a whole lot about it, other than I know there's a whole lot of power there, and you don't want to have when you're insulated, you want to make sure you stay that way.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, that's so you said you went from there, you kind of went into the mobile homes. On the mobile home side, is it an actual, are you working with actual mobile homes like or is it a more modular home? Is it because there's kind of you have the mobile home that's, the trailer park kind of mobile home that's the typical single wide or maybe double wide. And then they have quote mobile homes that aren't really mobile homes. They're big puzzled modular homes. So I'm just wondering, is that one way or the other there?
So it's the mobile homes that you're thinking of, like trailers inside of parks is what I focus on, or focus on. Right now I still do it, but I'm trying to get out of that.
Do you go in and do you do those as a fix and flip, or do you go in and do any kind of remodeling in them, or is it just something that you were buying kind of like somebody owned one, you're picking it up and you go in and you maybe clean it up a little bit and then just turn it and, hope for a bit of a profit by getting it cleaned up and straightened up a bit?
Okay. So pretty much I've bought them and fixed them up and then do a lease option with them. And I've also just bought them as is and then turned around and just resold them like the same day, basically, almost like a wholesale, but it's on payments.
Yeah.
So
like the wholesale, it kind of froze up there a little bit, but you do kind of like a wholesale deal on a house. Basically, you're buying it and turning it to somebody else right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I've had like a couple situations like that where I pretty much close on the home and then within a couple hours have it back on the market and trying to get it resold. So not technically a wholesale, but here in Illinois, you can't really do wholesaling unless you go through different hoops and stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting though, because, and where are you from? I can't remember what you said.
I live in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So my home, I'm going to have hopefully they calm down. My neighbor's dog's out, so my dog's got to tell them they're not allowed to be outside. I don't live in quote Las Vegas. I'm not down on the strip, but I'm about 5 miles west of the strip, out in the in the city of Las Vegas, not the tourist destination of Las Vegas. But yeah, it's an enjoyable place. I've lived here a long time. I've been here since 1985, and there was about 250,000 residents here when I first moved here in the whole valley, and now we're pushing close to 3 million.
That's crazy.
Just some serious growth over the years. And so you mentioned one other thing that I'm considering a little bit. I'm a gator lender. I've been in the business, real estate business, not having any knowledge of it whatsoever. I got involved in it about in July, actually. So my experience is this house that you see around me right here was my real estate experience, and I bought it in 1994. So a little bit of probate stuff that we did, because we had some family pass recently, and we went through some probate stuff there and dealt with that. But one of the things I got into the gator lending side of it and doing it, but I'm looking at other options. And one of the things that me and my wife have considered, because I'm 58 years old. I'm getting at the point I'm looking to, hopefully retire and do some traveling. I have grandkids I want to go spend time with.
Yeah.
We were thinking about doing some buy and hold stuff with doing some Airbnb things in areas where we would like to travel.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that way, hey, if I want to go here, I want to go there, I can set up an Airbnb. And so I'd be interested in your take on that. You said you turned your original home into an Airbnb. Is that, how did that go? And what's been your experience with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you turn a house that you already live in to an Airbnb, it's pretty easy because it's all furnished already and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, my experience with it is awesome. From going to this real estate meetup, I met some guys that they're really young. I'm 30. So it's funny you said you bought your house in 94. I was born in 93. But these guys were like 22, 23 years old, and they starting a management company for Airbnbs. And they had like 3 maybe at the time that I'd met them. And so I talked with them. They thought my house would be awesome. I got lucky because I bought a house that's on a river. So it's got this beautiful view. It's called Sunset Drive. So you get the sunset setting off in the distance every night, and the pictures are just beautiful. So it really catches people's eyes in the area. But anyway, so I pretty much just reached out to them. They told me the things I needed to buy for it. I pretty much had most of the stuff. And then I actually left to Florida for a while for like a month-long vacation when I first listed it on Airbnb. And, it comes with its ups and downs, but mostly ups. I've had some interesting things happen in that house since turning it
I
into
can
an
imagine.
Airbnb. But besides those things, it's been awesome. Like I said, I'm not in a big city, and it's not a city that's like growing much. So I didn't know if it would book very often. But in the summers, we look at like a 75 to 99% occupancy, depending on the month. In the winters, it gets just enough to cover the mortgage and like all my expenses on it. But the summers make it worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
the summers I make more, almost double on it as I do compared to like my job. So
That's cool. That's yeah, and I would think because of the area that you're in, that would be, there's probably not a lot of people clamoring to go up into Illinois in the dead of winter. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not real familiar with the area, but I'm familiar enough to know that it's probably not real warm in December and January there.
no, it's freezing. But
Yeah.
but it's kind of cool because most people think it would never rent on Airbnb, and we have 6 of them on my street. And I mean, everyone does really well on it.
Well,
So
that's got to say something. That's got to say something about the area and the view and stuff, like you said. Definitely something to think about. And where is there other amenities right in that area that make a draw to that, or what is your I guess I would ask, what is your kind of clientele base that you get there? Are they people that are visiting just other family and they're staying there, or what do you attract to that?
so it fluctuates a little bit. So if the nightly rate is higher, so like we could do a dynamic pricing.
Mm-hmm.
My management company does, and so when like the nightly rate is low, it seems like we have more like travelers, people with like families or whatever that are coming. And then in the summers when it's like very high, we'll get a mix of travelers and then workers. So like right now, there's people there. They've been there for a month and they just booked another month, or another month and a half, and they're there building windmills.
Okay.
So we're getting
So it
those
kind of
bookings. It's a mix, big mix.
turns into a midterm rental kind of thing then at points.
So yeah, I've
Is that
had
what you do?
2 in the past 2 years that have been like a minimum of a month. But besides that, it's usually families and stuff.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't thought about it too much, but yeah, it's mostly a mix.
Hey, that's the best part. That's the best part about it, right? If you don't have to think about it too much and it's bringing income in, that's
Yeah,
that works really good. That would
that's
make me happy. The less I
100%.
have to think about it and the more money it's bringing to my pocket, that would be a nice real estate investment, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. So
so I know right now we were kind of jumped in here a little bit. You're in the middle of a flip where you're at right
yep.
now. How many fix and flips have you done? Are you is this like your first one, or is it something you do quite often? And how do you enjoy that versus some of the other stuff you've done?
So honestly, this is my first like real fix and flip. So we purchased this one strictly to flip it. I
Yeah.
love holding stuff because I know it's going to make more money. You get the tax write-offs, you get all the benefits of holding real estate, passive, or I think I already said that one. But so this one just makes sense. It's in an HOA, so they don't like rentals, all that stuff. So it just kind of works out towards to be a really good flip. But one thing I want to touch on talking about this is, oh wait, sorry, I need to answer your question first. Um, yeah, I do. Like right now, I do enjoy doing this. It
Mhm.
has its ups and downs, though. Um, I would like to hire people to do the whole thing. I do have a lot of contacts that do this type of work, but they're all busy right now. So in the meantime, while it's sitting vacant, I do have construction experience. So I'm out here working for this past week until 10 o'clock almost every night. So that part, it's fun, but it's also gets a little bit old, I guess. Um, but yeah, was
You're
that?
giving your, I'm guessing the point of you doing that obviously is if you don't have a contractor or somebody in there doing work, you're increasing holding costs
Yes.
because you're holding it
Time is,
longer. So
yeah.
yeah, so if you can jump in there and maybe take care of some of that stuff yourself, where you get, if even if it's a week, you're going to have holding costs for uh, hanging on to it a week longer than you would. That's always
Yeah.
money coming out of your pocket. So I can thoroughly understand you want to be able to jump in and address that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's uh, if you don't mind me asking, did you get into that? Did you did you buy that a direct to seller type thing, or did you buy this from a wholesaler, somebody
So,
who's wholesaling? And I'm interested in that because that's kind of I'm learning about that.
mhm.
So um, I know, you have that direct to seller to the wholesale, that A to B, B to C thing, where on the Gator side, I'm looking at jumping into the funding parts of that, where, you have a double close, or you mentioned that they don't really allow wholesaling there. So I'm assuming that you probably do more of a double close type thing where the wholesaler bought the house and then you're really buying it from the wholesaler, but he's technically not a wholesaler.
Yeah, that's how you'd have to do it. I haven't truly done a wholesale deal yet. This would be, I mean, we could have done that with this one. We could have done a double closing probably because we got the house well below what it was worth.
Okay.
Um, but I did, so to answer your question, I did find this home through a realtor, but it's
Okay.
not in the way that you would think. So I attend a meetup every month that like our company runs, and I had met a kid actually at a bachelor party, a friend of mine's bachelor party, and he found out that I did real estate and he wanted to get into it as well. So I invited him to the meetup. He showed up to the meetup and felt awkward. He didn't know what to say, who to talk to, or anything. So I like grabbed him. I was like, "Hey, I'm like, here's a realtor." I'm like, "Hey, Sarah, how are you? Like, this is my friend Brennan. He's looking for his first flip. Do you have any flips?" And she said yes. And I was like, "Oh, like cool." So initially it was for him, but he didn't really have anything to kind of get going or the knowledge base, I guess. And I hadn't heard from him in a couple months, so I kept following up with her because they weren't ready to sell yet. And after a month and a half of just following up, she finally called me and said, "Hey, it's ready to be shown. Do you want to see it?" And you know how most of the time when you look at a home, you look at the pictures and they look real nice. Then you get there and it's like, oh, this place is a dump. The
Yeah.
place were like a dump, and then when I got here, they pretty much rehabbed almost the entire like upstairs. So the entire living area was already flipped. There's just a couple doors that are missing. It needs to be trimmed out, and like a couple cosmetic things. Actually, I guess we're redoing the bathroom too, but
Yeah.
mostly ready to move in. So
somebody had went in there probably doing what you're doing, and then they just weren't able to finish the deal or whatever, and
mhm.
on their
So
end, and decided to just get out of it.
yeah, so they bought it, pretty much flipped it. We're almost done, and then a member of the family wanted to move in, so they let him move in, and then they were still rehabbing it. And he's like, you know what? Can you guys just stop doing this? I just want to live in peace. And they're like, sure. So they left. They had it rented for several years, and then the guy moved out, and they realized he smoked in it. And I think that part, like, just was like, you know what? That's just too much more than we want to deal with. And honestly, I barely even smell smoke in here, so it's nice
Yeah.
that it's not that bad. But so yeah, I mean, got a good deal. So
Well, right
yeah,
on. That's and then so I guess the one other, I know I want to let you get back to doing what you're doing. I know you got plenty going on there, and I don't want to keep you up. I don't want to keep you too long, but I wanted to touch base with you on your experience in Pace's mentorship on the sub 2 side, and what brought you. I understand how you explained kind of how you got to the real estate side of it with what you were doing. What brought you into kind of the mentorship program with Pace, and then with the sub 2, have you done anything with that? Are you new to it? Is it something that you're just learning right now? Where are you at with that? And what do you find? I know my community on the Gator side is amazing. And what we're doing with me and you are both in something called Project Forward, and that's amazing. I'm just wondering on the
yeah,
sub 2 side, what's your experience there, and I'm not real familiar with that, so I'm just interested.
yeah, yeah. So I was actually on my way out to a flip one day, or not a flip, but like fixing up one of my mobile homes that I was going to do, and uh, maybe it was on my phone while I was driving, and I saw like an ad, and it said, "Do you want to be in the top 3% or 1% of real estate investors? Like, you need to learn creative financing." And it was like one of Pace's first ads that he ever put out. So I listened to that, and then I was like, man, I want to be up there. Like, I don't want to be just a normal everyday investor and be doing these mobile homes. But
Yeah.
I signed up for a call basically and joined. So I was actually, it took me like 3 months to actually join, but I was in the mentorship within like 6 months of it starting, I think. And as far as doing anything with sub 2, creative financing, obviously, I'm already doing creative financing with the mobile homes. And just briefly to touch on that, so I purchased the mobile homes. People have them advertised for $20,000, $30,000, whatever. I'll offer them a cash offer for not much, say like $5,000, and then
Uh-huh.
typically they say yes because banks won't loan on them. So no one else has enough cash to pay cash for, and they're paying multiple payments or whatever's going on, whatever their pain is. So I'll
Right.
purchase them for a low amount for cash, and then I'll turn around and like list it on rent to own. So I become the bank to the buyer. So I'll do a few thousand to move in or whatever that number is, and then they'll pay me monthly for like 7, 8 years, and then typically I get the home paid off the first year, and then it's all just income from that point. So that's kind of creative and how I was doing things, and then I purchased a home here in Peoria on seller finance. So I got a 4% interest rate just in February. So interest rates were like 6, 7% at that time. I only had to put 10% down. And then I turned that into a furnish finder, which cash flows about $850 a month. And then I think that's everything creative I've done.
And
Um,
you mentioned something there I don't think I've ever even heard before. You said something. You said furnish finder. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yep. So it's like a midterm.
I've not even heard that term. But
Oh,
could
really?
you maybe explain? Could you explain what that is?
Yeah. So it's exactly what it sounds like. So it's like rentals that are already furnished.
Okay.
So typically, if you're in an area where there's a lot of nurses, you're like traveling for COVID or for whatever reason,
Oh, okay.
they have like a stipend for a certain amount for housing. So instead of getting like $1,100, $1,200 a month in income on this long-term rental, I can rent it out fully furnished for 2,000 or more dollars a month. Um,
Okay.
so I don't really know what's better, to be honest, but I think I do cash flow a little bit more. It's just a little bit more work and a little bit more upfront cost. But I do have my first tenants in there now, and yeah, so it's kind of cool too. You meet more people doing cool things.
Right.
So
Well, that's and there's a lot of that going on. I mean, you talk about the linemen. I got on the other side of my family, on my wife's side of my family, I have nurses, and they
yeah,
do exactly what you're talking about. And they've been back in that area back there, and that's what they did is they went back there and they were there for like 2 months or something like that. They're traveling nurses, and they were there for like 2 months, and they rented a house that way, and that's where they stayed.
yeah,
And so basically that, and so I'm familiar with that a little bit in this sense. I just hadn't heard, I guess I understand what you're saying now, but I just hadn't heard that phrase. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't think is
well,
that
so
what
I
I
get
think it is? Or,
yeah. So
just
maybe I
different
didn't answer
term.
correctly, but Furnish Finder is a website, so it's
Okay.
like Airbnb, but it's
Yeah.
for bookings longer than 30 days that
Yeah.
are furnished. So basically,
Yeah.
Airbnb but like longer term.
So you're just, you're just like a little more of I guess what they call the midterm rental. That's actually what you're going for there with that.
Yep.
You're not looking for a long-term tenant there. You're getting shorter term tenants at a higher dollar value because they're shorter term.
Yep.
And that seems like, well, I don't want to take up a whole bunch more of your time because like I said, I know you're busy and you're trying to get done what you're doing, and I appreciate you coming on and taking the time
Yeah.
with me here. I like to finish my Appleseed podcast with asking my I just totally lost track of what
I do that
the
all
people I'm interviewing. I just went blank, man. It was like it just went whoop, gone. You know how you like something comes
Trust
into
me, it
your head
happens to
and
me
just,
all the time.
yeah. So the people that I'm interviewing, I like to ask them. It's like if you had something that you could quote call an apple seed, something that you could share with somebody that you thought that they could use to maybe grow their business or grow themselves personally, that would help them in the future, what do you think that might be?
Okay. So I kind of have the personality where it's like, I don't know if this is politically correct to say, but like balls to the wall on like everything I do, especially if I'm like starting something new.
Yeah.
Um, so I always think that it's gonna like speed up the process, but then I'll get burnt out. So one thing that I tell people is if you could just like build a list. This is actually from the Power List from Andy Frisella. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like you make a list of like 5 tasks that you need to do each day. Um, and then one of those has to be like reaching out to somebody that does something in your field that you're wanting to like start this business in. Um, but make that list of 5 things each day, do all 5, and then just the one that has to be reaching out to somebody that does something with your business that you're wanting to start. Doing that each day, just a little bit of stuff. You can do it by 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you have won the day technically. But just one small thing. Gosh dang it, I'm messing this all up.
No, I'm getting what you're saying. It does make sense. I'm understanding what you're saying.
It's just basically trying to take one step towards furthering your business each day, not 5,000 steps that you're trying to like rush things to
Right.
get the ball moving faster. It's like take your time, be consistent, get your name out there on a consistent basis. You don't have to go tell the entire country in the first week. It's just that gradual progression each day of just continually doing it is what will like make you become successful. You can reach out to every realtor in this city over a 1 month period and no one has any good deals. But if you slowly do it, like maybe that one, like you reach out to 5 instead of 1,000 of them in the first month, um, eventually you're going to come across one that knows someone else or whatever that will find you that deal. But I just see so many people get burnt out by trying to go so fast, and they just do so much, and then they're like, "I'm sick of doing this. It's not working." When you could just kind of take your time, learn, take the small steps, and then maybe a couple months down the road, you find that deal, and it would have taken you that couple months as well with going all out, full bore that whole time to find that same deal. And then you think it takes so much work to get that one deal, when in reality the deal just wasn't available yet.
Yeah.
So it took the same amount of time, but with a lot less effort. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. You're taking, you're creating a skill set is what I hear you saying. You're creating a commitment to a skill set to take action towards your business, and not, I've really had in, this last couple of days, it's really been in my mind with, what I refer to as overwhelm. And I just put a post out on my Facebook the other day about what I call King of the Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
King of the Mountain was a game we played when I was a kid. You're probably not. I don't know if you've ever, but you're probably not even old enough to know what King of the Mountain is. I don't know.
You used to throw people down the stairs playing King.
Yeah, you're basically you're staking your claim on the top of a mountain, and I think I can equate that to what you just said. For me, I'm like, I went into this gator lending thing, and I've got something I've staked a claim at the top of the mountain, and the overwhelm is all of that stuff that takes you off of that, and it comes from all different areas, and it may not even be anything to do with what you're actually doing. It could be something completely different. I go back into my into my W-2 background and what I'm doing. All of a sudden, when I started doing this, something that was going really smooth has turned chaotic just recently. And it doesn't have anything to do with this.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of mental energy. And I think hearing what you're saying is you're just do something to take action towards your business every day.
Yeah.
And I like the other side of something that's involved with it, the mentorship side that we're in with our community.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to learn. And I've been telling people this because I heard this and I just love it. I don't even remember who I heard it from. It may have been Pace. It may have been something and listening to so many different things, but it's use that mentorship, reaching out to somebody that's doing, one of those 5, reaching out to somebody who's doing it, and you're going to find mentors in there. But that mentorship turns decades into days.
Yeah, definitely.
And that is what this industry is. There's so much to learn. I mean, just huge amounts to learn. But if you just take a little bit at a time, like you said, take 5 things and just take action on 5 things, and don't overwhelm yourself with the 10,000 things you need to do. And I like what you said about then, that deal that came out, 2 months down the road. Well, that deal probably wasn't even there, until just before that. So if you were running 100 miles an hour, and mentally you think, man, I had to run 100 miles an hour to get this.
Mm-hmm.
And really, you could have been doing it at, you could have been going at 20 miles an hour, and that same deal was going to still pop up at the same time. So
yeah.
I love that. I love that. Go ahead.
One quote I did want to say that's kind of like sparked the whole thing was, I've heard someone say, I think it was Andy Frisella, people overestimate how much they can do in a month, but underestimate how much they can do in a year. Yeah. So it's kind of the same process. It's like, you think if you go full out, you're going to accomplish so much more in that month than you actually can, just because you can't force things along.
Right.
Yeah.
So, they're only going to move. They're only going to move at the speed. You can benefit yourself to a certain level, but certain things are only going to move. I my mindset part of me is I pay attention and try to stay present in the fact that what's going to come to you is going to come to you, but it's going to come to you at the time it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And it's like the saying, what is it, that the teacher, when the student's ready, the teacher will present themselves.
Yeah.
And I think I found that with PACE for me. That was kind of like I was looking for something and I didn't even know I was looking for this.
Yeah.
And it presented itself. But I thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to hang out just a couple minutes while I finish up, so we can get the download on this podcast. And but I thank you for your time. I know I took you away from putting some spackle on the wall or doing whatever it is you got going on right at the moment, putting some trim up or something like that. And I appreciate you taking the time to join me and kind of go over what you had. And so thanks again. I hope we get to talk in the future a little bit more and learn a little bit more about what you're doing. And maybe we can put some deals together somehow.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Las Vegas.
Right on. Not a problem. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it, Jarod.
Thank you.
And that ends this podcast. I want to thank you for watching again, and I hope you got some value in what Jarod and I had discussed, and learned a little bit about what he's doing, and maybe it'll help you along your journey and your real estate in your real estate investment or whatever it is you're doing. And thanks again for showing up and watching my podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.